Go live. Good morning. My name is Sally Ibbotson and I'm a Shiatsu practitioner and a Qigong teacher here in London, UK, and I'm working from my studio in London today. I teach retreats and I'm really delighted to be doing one in spring 18 coming up next month. And as part of that retreat, I will be focusing on the 8 movements for health, sometimes called Tai Chi walking. And I'm personally addicted to this practice, so I'm delighted to be presenting it today. We start off in the normal Qigong standing position, also the starting position for Tai Chi and martial arts. And so the feet are parallel on the outside. The knees are soft, so they're unlocked. We have a slight pelvic tilt, so the sacrum coccyx is going down and under, the pubic bone slightly up, and the top of the head is towards the sky or the ceiling. In the 8 movements for health, we focus on the small movements of every day, diligently and with real concentration and focus, or light concentration actually. So we're still joyous, we're not too focused, but what we're doing there is we're communicating to the body and mind that everything is fine, and it's so fine and safe that we can focus on things that we would normally do, like walking, in absolute detail. And that feeds back a sense of relaxation and calm, a letting go of tension, if you like. And that, of course, is a cumulative effect for health and well-being, the basics. Here we go then. Send the weight down. Let's do the same leg all together. So down through the right. And imagine that you're stepping out onto an ice-covered lake. And the ice is about 2 inches thick. And you think it's okay, but just to be sure, you put the whole of your foot down, so that's your right foot down, before you commit your weight. So here we go. You've put the whole of that sole of the foot down in the front. And only when it's fully down do you commit your weight slowly so that the back foot rolls up. Really feel that rolling of the foot against the floor. And then in the same way, the weight goes down, this time through the right foot and leg. You put the front foot forward, you roll it down, and only when the whole of that sole of foot is down do you take the weight onto that foot. And you progress in that way. Now, with the 8 movements, you would be doing this perhaps for about 8 steps forward, maybe 8 on each side. Because this is basically an instruction video, I'm not going to go through the whole of the 8 steps, but you can stop the video now and do your practice. But I am going to go backwards. So with each of the 8 movements, we can also step backwards. And it's the same thing. You commit the total sole of your foot onto the back, on the back foot before you lift up the front foot. You place it down carefully here, and only when the whole sole of foot is down do you lift up the front foot and take it back. So you're walking backwards on the ice. The next movement is called wearing the moon as a cap. And we're still walking forward on the ice, but this time you imagine that you are wearing the moon as a cap and you don't want it to fall off. Probably a better image is to imagine that you're carrying a bowl of fruit on your head. You do the same thing with the feet, but this time you have an awareness that bobbing up and down or from side to side is not a good idea because the thing on your head will tip off. And so you have that awareness of steady walking, hopefully on the same horizon. I'm going to go backwards now so that you can see what I'm doing. So the same horizontal plane. In other words, not like this, but actually attempting to go backwards on the same horizontal plane. Obviously, you're breathing, but there's no particular breath pattern that's attached to this Qigong protocol. The next movement, and once again, you would do that wearing the moon as a cap for several times forward and several times back again. The next movement is called rowing on a lake, and it's more like, it's actually like punting. So you've got a pole in your hand and you're on your barge, and you press forward like this. You send yourself forward by pressing into the stream bed or wherever it is you are. So you are introducing now a little bit of movement into the practice. You're slightly turning from side to side, but not really. So it's only a slight movement from side to side. You're still going forward carefully on the ice, and you are still wearing the moon as a cap, attempting not to bob up and down too much, and introducing this movement. Now, you then go backwards. This doesn't make much sense because if you were really punting, you would be going forwards. But anyway, poetic license here, or Qigong license. So you're creeping backwards. And make your feet comfortable. So for me, it makes sense to actually turn the front foot, heel out. So I progress backwards. So that's the third movement. The fourth movement for health is fair lady sets a sail. So once again, you're going forward on the ice carefully, committing your weight only when the full sole of the foot is down. Top of the head is balancing the moon or balancing a bowl of fruit or whatever it is. And you're aware of the element of a wind coming towards you. Fair lady sets the sail. And so you open a sail as if you were on quite a simple boat to capture the wind and move you forwards, or backwards in this case, but you're moving forwards. So you're creeping forwards on the ice, and you're opening, and there's a slight resistance. Imagine that wind blowing into your sail. So you have to stay steady now while you're imagining that wind blowing into the sail. Fair lady sets the sail. And of course you can go backwards, which makes more sense in terms of the element. So the sail catches the wind and moves you backwards. So this is a little easier to imagine, perhaps. Same principles. Fair lady sets the sail. The next movement, the fifth movement for health, is cloud hands. Those of you who do Shibashi 1 will know cloud hands. So here's the movement. The top hand is in front of the eyes, and the fingers are open, so there are gaps between the fingers. And you're gazing through the gaps as if gazing at clouds passing across the sky, and the bottom hand is more or less opposite the lower belly. So there's the movement. You're moving, which way you're turning, you can say that this is an arrow, and that's the way you're going. So you move in the direction of your top elbow. And now we're going to add a step. Now it's easiest when you're doing diagonal movements to step forward on the foot the other side of where you're turning. Otherwise, let me show you, you block yourself. You could try that, just play around with that. It's easier to step forward on the side to which you are not turning, or to which you are turning away from. So here we go, walking forward with cloud hands. You're still walking across the ice. Lots to think about here. You still have something on your head which you are trying to balance. And now you are actually turning, probably turning the torso. So this is tricky. Yeah, so it's a balance challenge, and you can obviously go backwards as well, which I will do now. Okay, cloud hands. Fifth movement for health. The sixth movement for health, we take white crane salute. So this hand is as if it's balancing on a stool which is beside you, and the other hand is up, just palm facing forward, and you are fully down on one leg. I'm down on my right leg, and my left toe is just balancing me there. and I imagine that there is a precipice in front of me. So a deep fall. I could be on the top of a mountain which has a sheer cliff below it. That's the kind of feeling that I want. And there I am, strong. There may be winds coming from all directions, as there is on a mountain top. But there I am, strong and confident that I'm not going to fall off into the valley below. So that's the image. As we do this for a little while, I'll just explain that imagery is so important in Qigong, because it's not just the outside muscles and tendons and bones that we want to engage, it's the integral imaging. In other words, what we are imagining on the inside that is so important to get the nuances and attitude of Qigong. There we go, white crane salutes. The next movement of the 8 movements for health, we imagine now that we are walking forward in a stream and the water is about up to knee level and there's a strong current coming towards you. So again, that integral imaging is really important. We don't do anything with the hands. The breathing is usual and normal, but we step forward slightly carefully because we don't want to cut ourselves on any sharp stones or pebbles that might be on the stream bed. So now we're purely imagining. So imagine the current coming towards you, but you strong and steady, moving forward, making your way forward, carefully to avoid cutting the soles of your feet. So you might again place your foot down before you commit the weight. Let's go backwards, but this time imagine that the current is coming from behind you. Still placing your feet carefully. And by now it should be quite familiar to just imagine that there is something balancing on the top of your head. Okay. The final movement for health then is diagonal flying. We do the same thing. We kind of incorporate all the movements here. We're stepping forward still on the ice. We are flying up. So, deliberate mistake. So what we do is we go towards the side that is not stepping forward. So immediately that I did that, I felt I was blocked. So I step forward on the other leg and we diagonally fly, and then we come back to center, take a step, cautious step. There we go. And you might feel that, my feeling is that I need to actually turn the feet, and that's absolutely fine. Just make your feet and knees comfortable in this practice. So again, I think I need to turn my foot there. It's really just making yourself comfortable and your knees safe here. There is no actual way of doing it. And as you go back, diagonal flying, for me, I feel I need to shift that way to keep my knee joint safe and myself comfortable, and also in order that I can really get that diagonal feeling. Thank you.